It's the Hell Fucking Yeah podcast.
Welcome to the Hell Fucking Yeah podcast. I'm your host, Mike Gruttola, and with me today I have the incredibly talented singer-songwriter, producer, engineer, you name it, Brandy Zdan here with me today. And your third studio album, Falcon, is available now wherever you stream your music. You can also pre-order vinyl or CD on Bandcamp. You can even get a signed copy. We're definitely gonna get to the album tonight, but you have some cool packages available too for sale. You have signed test pressing. There's one left, so if someone's listening right now and it's still there, go grab it. There's one left. You can get some Polaroid pics that you've personally taken in a bundle with the CD, and you offer handwritten lyrics as well, which is really cool.
Thank you. It's nice to be here with you.
I'm so excited to have you here, honestly. So now you're originally from Canada.
It's true. It's
true. Where are you now?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee.
How's the weather? I'm in Long Island, New York. I'm in a garage on Long Island, New York.
Yes. Okay. Well,
you ever been?
I have been, yes, a long, long time ago, specifically to Long Island, but not recently. But man, love the Northeast.
Me too. Yeah, the only place I've ever lived outside of New York was Connecticut, so it's like 2 hours away. So I never, I've been everywhere, but I've never lived in the middle or anywhere or on the West Coast. But maybe one day. How's the weather there this time of year in Nashville?
Well, it's starting to get cold. Starting to get, oh man, because we're so close to the Eastern time zone, the daylight savings really screws us up here. Yeah. So I feel the sun. Well, no, I don't feel it. I see it. I see the sun start to kind of go down at 4 o'clock, and then by 5 o'clock, whew. Yeah, yes. By 5 o'clock, that's it. Darkness.
I hear you. It's the same thing here. It's like summertime is like 2 months and then the rest of the year is just dark and cold.
Yeah. And that's kind of like how my homeland is as well. So I shouldn't be so surprised, but I think once you're a parent and the daylight savings happen, you're like, why the hell are we doing this?
Yes. I think I think we need to get rid of the daylight, the whole hour change thing.
Oh yeah.
Let's just get rid of it. Let's just keep it ahead so we get that extra light in the day, and let's move on. It seems antiquated.
Completely unnecessary. It was
messes everything up.
It was for a different time. There's nobody that needs it anymore.
It was. And now I don't have like a regular schedule, so it doesn't really mess me up too much. But my wife, that hour, it takes her like a week to adjust to that hour when she has to wake up early in the morning and everything else. So yeah. She gained an hour this time, but when it goes back, it's even worse.
Absolutely.
So how are you? How are you doing? Most important question.
Funny you ask. I'm actually just getting over COVID.
Oh no.
So I have almost spent 20 months avoiding the darn thing, and then I get it on release day of Falcon. So
wow,
interesting little bookend to this whole adventure.
Wow. Yeah. So, oh man, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that. You're getting over it now. You're on the other end, feeling better.
I'm on the other end. I have about a day or two left of isolation. That's why I'm coming to you from my bedroom right here.
Nice.
Moved all my gear in. I'm just like, gonna set up and not contaminate anybody. So
so you're still doing the what do they call it? Yeah, isolation.
Yeah.
Quarantining.
I'll tell you what though, I say I got it from a vaxxed person. I am a vaxxed person.
Right.
I was sick as a dog.
Really? Wow.
For days. So
wow. Now I had it at the very, very beginning, even before like March of last year. And
oh wow.
It was weird. It was just I just couldn't taste anything and just kind of slept. I don't really remember much else. It was like 5 days of just kind of sleeping.
Yeah.
But we don't need to talk about that.
We all know about it. Yes.
I'm glad you're getting better. So let's start at the beginning. Where did your musical journey begin? Did you grow up in a musical household?
My household wasn't necessarily musical. I didn't sort of grow up with music surrounding me. Do have family members, sort of distant family members that played music. And my grandfather, who passed away when I was super young, played as well. So I kind of do think that music is in your genes a little bit.
Sure.
But it wasn't in the household specifically, but it was always something I remember doing from an early age. Single digits singing was something I loved to do. I was in choirs, in classical voice lessons for most of my childhood, and then into my teens, doing all of the things. Honestly, I was fortunate to have people around me that enabled me and saw that it was something I loved to do. It was something that I was gifted at, and I was given opportunities. So it just kind of took this path, and then I started, listening to bands and people that played their own songs at around 10, and I was so fascinated by it. I remember being at recess with my yellow Walkman with an Ace of Base tape in the back of the field, like singing along to it, like, oh yeah, just thinking this was so cool. And it had an Annie Lennox tape too. So funny. I don't even know where those came from.
Yeah.
And then I discovered the Beatles and then all of the 60s bands that you love to love when you're a teenager. So, and then when I started writing my own songs and kind of figuring out, like, oh yeah, okay. I knew I wanted to play music, but once I started finding that path, the songs, and oh, I can do this, and there's ways to kind of have a career, kind of
Yeah.
learning those things early on. Growing up in Winnipeg, there was a lot of people that were doing it, and I was exposed to them. So a lot of really good people along the way kind of helping me out.
Yeah. Now, your professional career actually started in Canada with a Juno nominated duo, Twilight Hotel. The band released 3 studio albums, 2 of them earning Juno nominations. You then moved to Texas, and Twilight Hotel disbanded. What caused the is it called disbandment? I don't even think there's a word,
Yeah,
but we're going to use that tonight.
Disbandment. Yes.
Disbandment. Very dark. And what brought you to Texas?
Well, honestly, we had been a band for like quite a while. Three records, an EP in there. We had been touring Canada, touring Europe. We started to tour the States. We got these Juno nominations, which for people that don't know, it's pretty much the equivalent of it's Canada's Grammy, let's just say.
Yes.
And we weren't feeling the love. And we were having a really hard time getting any traction in terms of the industry, like getting an agent and a manager. At that time, we'd been coming to the States and people were booking us and just like giving us opportunities. And we went to the Junos in Vancouver that first time we were nominated, and we kind of made the call, like, let's go where people are giving us opportunities. Let's go where the love is. And that was the States. And we kind of made a couple calls, should we go to Austin? Should we go to Memphis? There was a couple places we'd been spending a lot of time at in between tours, and had friends, had developed relationships with people that we cared about. And we thought, okay, we love Austin. Texas is, I still love Texas. Texas has a thing to it. And
It does.
especially Austin at that time, super bohemian. It just called out to us, and we ended up moving down and living in a community, on a commune,
Wow.
just on the Austin city limits. And there was this woman named Deborah who was a fan of ours and came to some of our shows previously, and we became friends. And then she said, come and live with us. And we created some of our best friendships at the time, and really special bonds with people. And yeah, I love Canada so much, but it just didn't work out for me living there to do what I wanted to do. I think also when you spend somewhere with your super formative years and when you're really just developing as a person and as an artist, it's hard to then be who you're going to be. Like as
Sure.
soon as I went away to the States, I kind of I left I left it all behind and I could really become who I was going to be, if that makes sense, you
It
know?
does. Absolutely.
So yeah, Texas, it felt like the right move and it was the right move. And we were a couple, me and Dave from Twilight Hotel, and I think to put it really simply, big moves lead to big moves.
Mhm.
And we had been together. I was in my 20s. I think we just kind of needed to part. We ended up staying together as a band for a couple more tours after that because we had just made a record, When the Wolves Go Blind. Still really proud of that record. But yeah, it just had to end. I'm
Yeah.
really grateful for the time, but yeah, then Texas just kind of like took me in after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you joined like a super group there, right? The Trishas.
I did join the Trishas, yeah. One of my best pals, Kelly McWee, was in the band, and she said, "We kind of need a player,
Yeah.
guitar player. So why don't you come and do it?" Like, oh,
Things
so
just happening, you know?
damn, okay. Well, I
Yeah.
hadn't yet done that for other people. I'd only been playing guitar for myself and for the band, and I took a couple days to think to decide on that one. Again, another through line, like I had someone in my life that was very encouraging at the time, saying like, of course you can do that. Like just go and do it. You just got to learn the songs. You're great. Go and play the songs, play the guitar. It's great. You already know what to do.
Yeah.
So, and then we toured around all over the States for, gosh, I think about 5 years. It was a really, really special time.
Wow. 5 years. So Nashville, right? Would you say around 2015? Is that's when you moved to Nashville or?
You're probably right.
Okay. Well, because the first solo album was 2015. And then again in 2018 with Secretary and now
Yeah.
Falcon.
Yeah.
So what draws you to doing solo records opposed to recording with a band?
Well, I used my time with the Trishas to, I kind of remember thinking, okay, so my whole identity's wrapped up in this duo, Twilight Hotel, that I'd been a part of for a decade.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even remember what it was like to be playing solo as a teenager anymore.
Hmm.
So I took that time with the Trishas to kind of sit in the back of the van, see the sights, do my job, but also quietly like scheme of like, okay, well, what do I want to say? What do I want to be as this solo act? Do I want to do this? Just kind of asking myself those questions and also figuring out, well, let's try some writing out. Let's do some things. And I had been put in touch with this wonderful producer named George Reef, and we made an EP together. He's kind of well known. He was, rest in peace, George. He was well known for producing some Band of Heathens records as well as Ray Wiley Hubbard. So really cool Texas stuff.
Hmm.
But George and I kind of needed a producer to get something out of me that I hadn't gotten out of myself before, and he did that. And he showed me kind of a new sort of rock pop way to write and to sing, and we made a little EP, and then I knew really quickly that I had to leave. I had to
Leave.
leave Texas as well. I knew, as much as I loved it, you know, I was coming up on my 30s, and I just kind of thought, I do love Nashville. Kind of has a little bit of more of a business working ethic to it, which I really
Sure.
appreciated because I have that side of me. I love to hate it, and but it's there, and just kind of felt like the right natural move to come here.
Sure. Sure. Now you'd say it's less of a creative control kind of thing for the solo career and more of a like finding your voice. Would that be fair to say?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
whatever kind of group I was going to be in. And I might be in one again in my life. Who knows?
Yeah.
I think the creative control thing has never really been, that's never really come up in my creative endeavors. I guess I've always just been somehow matched with people where we can voice control's not a thing. We just kind of come together
Sure.
and do the deal. So, I think though, what has been really interesting is since I have been making records my whole adult life, and I've been doing it in a way where I'm just taking in all of the info and the knowledge of all these people around me. I finally have come to a place where I can assert this creative control in terms of I think I kind of know enough now to go ahead and produce a record,
Sure.
which I've been doing for other artists, but that I, just did for myself with Falcon. I finally got to a place where I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I have accumulated enough little bits and pieces of things along the way in this, you
Right.
know, 20 plus years of doing this. So let's let's try this out. And then I do, and so yeah, creative control, coming back to that, like I finally with the solo career have kind of, instead of enlisting wonderful people and producers, which I will do again, of course, this was kind of the time to really assert all of those things.
Absolutely. Actually, let's get into Falcon right now. I've been listening to it on repeat all day when I prepare for these, these interviews and things like that. I tend to just immerse myself in it.
Nice.
First of all, I love it. It's
Thank you.
it's amazing. And when I found out that not only did you write, produce, perform the entire album, but you also engineered it, that's truly remarkable. Not only the song's amazing, but the sonic quality is kind of mind-blowing, actually, considering like you pretty much did all of it.
In my tiny laundry room.
What? Wow. That's like a 10-person job. That's just crazy to me. And it really shows. I love the album so much. I hate to pick like a favorite track because they're all good.
No, do it.
But yeah, well, you know why? Because I always like to let the artist know which one resonates with me, because everyone's so different. Like this song might not work with somebody else. For me, it was "I Am Wild."
Oh, cool.
What a like beautiful, haunting, but in a good way, kind of song. Kind of reminded me of like Neil Young, like his like the vocals. Such an amazing track. I love the whole arrangement of it. Like amazing song.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's you're one of the only ones to pick that as a favorite. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's that's this like cinematic beast of a song that just kind of occurred and happened.
Yeah.
And we just like I followed it,
I think that's why I like it so much. It's like a like you just said, cinematic. It's like such a story to it even without the lyrics, just the whole arrangement of it. So awesome.
Wow, thank you.
Of course. And now I found something about this album very interesting. You shared the summary of Falcon with some friends and colleagues, and you got some feedback from different genders. The male audience leaned more towards the album being heavy and the content heavy, and while the female audience found it inspiring. So what would you say is the reason behind that?
That's a good question.
All right.
Yeah. So specifically, since we're on the whole other side of this, that was when I was sending the record around to business people, as in like publicists, agents, managers, labels, all the things, and the response really was so separate. Women would come at me after, because the little 2-paragraph summary is basically like the story of my last 2 years, miscarriage, grief, postpartum depression, pandemic, having a baby, like just all these things, these really hard things. And then also the fact that I took it all and did something with it. And I think the fact that I did something with it makes it inspiring to the women, but maybe the men don't necessarily want to talk about those messy things.
Mhm.
So that's why it's heavy.
Right.
I'm not saying that they didn't find it to be also inspiring to them. That's just what was focused on. So yeah, very interesting. And that kind of is a lot of continuous response.
Yeah.
Not to say that people aren't going to go there, and but even songwriters, male songwriters, have said to me like, certain song, Falcon's Wing or whatever, like that's kind of uncomfortable territory for them. Or
Yeah.
which, you know what? I think it's great that there's any response, because I think that's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's going to spur a conversation, make us talk about something, which is kind of what this whole thing is about and what music is supposed to do.
Right. Right. And you know what? I totally agree. And I feel it's really important, actually. I mean, listen, you know, it's supposed to be art, right? Like whatever you put out, no matter what it is your art. Now, I would never put anybody down, you know, but like things you hear on the radio sometimes, like the top 10, like pop stuff, it's not really art to me. It's like just overproduced, meaningless,
It's
catchy,
vapid.
vapid,
Yeah.
catchy, you know, and
And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars being put towards
yeah,
the creation and brand of something that the realness of that artist. It's like, where are you? Let's see it.
yeah, exactly. And it's like you look at the lyrics sometimes and you're like, what in the hell is he even talking about? You know, I think it's important to, if you want to put your, you know, your story out there, it's inspiring for people. It makes people feel like they're not alone.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of the themes and topics that you tackle on this album are maybe more female geared, but I
Mhm.
think it's important for anyone of any gender to listen to it and at least understand or try to understand the other side. Isn't that the whole point of this whole messed up world that we're in the first place?
That's the absolute point. And
Yeah.
also, when I think about, like, I consider myself to be, like, I'm a singer-songwriter, but I'm also a rock artist or indie rock, whatever you want to call it. But to sing a song like The Worst Thing, which is a rock and roll song, it is riff rock. And I just felt like there needs to be more rock songs for women too. Like, why don't
Yeah.
they don't just have to be about, like, girls
Right.
and drinking
Right.
and drugs and sex, and like all of that is great, and I've written about all those
Yeah.
things too, and that all has its place. But like, I kind of I I am of this belief currently that women are going to save rock and roll, which is kind of currently happening with so many women that are doing the thing and doing it in just the most incredible, inspiring way. But it's like, we need some songs for us too. They can't
Yeah.
just all be for the men, like there's a lot of rock and roll songs are for men,
I
and
totally agree. Yep.
and they have been through the ages. So it's like, let's fucking change this a little bit for us.
Absolutely.
And this is
Absolutely.
just my little way, like for that song specifically, when I was writing it, it was empowering to me. I'm like, hell yeah, I can't wait to go play this and it like be an anthem for women too.
Right. Absolutely. And you know what? That's exactly what the world needs in every aspect is balance. You know,
Yes,
listen,
yes.
I can absolutely go listen to Motley Crue right now, but I can also go listen to Falcon. And they
Yeah,
could both evoke a different feeling in me. And I think that's really important.
it is. It is.
Um,
They all have its place and it's all important and necessary, because
yeah.
you're not always gonna want to turn Falcon on to have a great time.
Right. 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 and yes and no, you know, I mean, sometimes
Sure.
sometimes if you're in that mode and you just want something like, you know, that's what's so cool about it. There's so many songs on the radio, like pop country kind of songs and things like that are like quote unquote female empowerment, and they're not though, you know, because they're not real. They're like, and I'm not saying that, you know, that's a horrible thing to say.
No, it's not. I think it's real. I think that's good. I think it's good things to say. I think there's not enough real talk out
Yeah.
there in the industry with people just calling what things are.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is. And again, like here's another point to what you're saying is that those people that listen to that music, like the same thing with Texas country. There's some Texas red dirt country that I hate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't want those fans, and that's okay. Like those people can listen to that and they go and they drink their beer and they have a great time at the show. And maybe some of them would like my music, but like it's okay. They can do their thing and then we can be over here.
Yeah.
Like we all have our place, but
I
it
agree.
doesn't necessarily mean that it's art, like what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
You know?
I think what I look for in any genre, because I listen to everything, is it should just be legit, just to come from a real place. That's all I really ask for.
Yeah.
I will, you know, for the most part, accept your perspective and take it in and think, you know, create my own thoughts about it. But it just needs to be legit. Like all these country songs on the radio that are like, you know, back dirt roads or whatever, those aren't real. Those are just like written like bubblegum pop, you know? So I'm glad to see that there's artists out there, and that's why I love doing this show so much. And shout out to Lucy, actually, because she gets me all these great artists like yourself. You know, it's so cool to hear things like this too, because I myself struggle with depression. I have for years, and I've spoken about like my past drug abuse on this show before, but I've really never spoken about depression and things like that. I don't know if it's like ashamed, you know, I was ashamed of it. But like even just a few weeks ago, I had like a total breakdown, and I was like, I need to like tell people what's up.
Yeah.
You got to talk about these things. And when you hear songs like yours, it's a reminder that not only is there other people out there like you, but you can talk about it. You can talk about it. So that's what I get from it, you know?
That's really, thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's crazy to think that we can still feel that we can't share and it's 2021. I mean, there's been so much headway made with all of this, but at the same time, there is stigma around it for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and even just to just say that you've gone through something, there's like that fear of appearing damaged or something, you know, just all of these things that come to mind, just all the fears associated with going through those challenges. But I mean, it's only, you know, at least in my experience, they've been massive learning experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. You know, it's
if you're allowed, if you can get the help you need, you know, and then you learn about yourself, and then you learn what you needed to deal with and what you can deal with, and then take that journey, which is usually a whole ordeal.
Right. You know, and of course I've had like talk to my doctor and things like that. My, you know, but not only have I never really said anything like this in a public manner, but I hid it from my loved ones.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, who I would like, I mean, they knew, they're not stupid, but I never really gave them the like full background of what's really going on. And to be honest with you, having opened up over the past month or so, it's kind of freeing in a way. Like I feel better just by letting people know that they're not going to hate me now. You know what I mean? Because that's like the fear. Like you think that someone's going to think differently of you.
Absolutely.
So now that you know that, it's like, all right, okay. That's good.
When you're potentially you're being vulnerable, and
Right.
you have to then be brave because you can't control people's reactions,
Yeah,
which is, yeah, it takes a lot. It takes so much, and
it
that's so
does.
good. Good for you, man.
It does. Thank you. And it's like, I don't have, I mean, I guess you can consider this a creative outlet, but not really, it's like just me talking. But to have your ability, your talent, and to put those songs out is bold. And I really appreciate it.
Welcome. I'm glad that the stories that have come in, and even just without anything external,
Right.
to just go through the learning curve of being so incredibly vulnerable in a public
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
And then it's, yeah, I've been really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm now kind of at the other side of that, with the record fully being out, and it has its own life now.
Sure.
It's gonna do its own thing, and I've kind of let it go. And I'm kind of glad. I can just kind of close the book on this chapter of life and now
It's
move on.
it's like cathartic.
Mhm.
So now, you were saying before, Falcon is like the last 2 years of your life encapsulated, right? Um, Obviously, we were speaking about some heavy themes in the album. Do you record when you're in like those dark moments, or do you let it subside and let the words tell the story when you're like in a better frame of mind? Like, what's your method?
So there's never any sort of recording in quotation marks. The only kind of recordings I'll do is if I'll do a bunch of voice memos of, there's usually a little thing that comes in those dark times, like a little melody or a phrase, and those things go together and I have to get it down. But I definitely write in those times.
Yes.
Maybe there's writing in the times, and there's writing when there's the little bit of light that shines into, and that's kind of when the best stuff happens, when that little bit of light is shining through. Because then I've opened up a little bit to the light, to the creator, whatever you want to say, the universe, and then the recording comes later. All of that stuff.
Yeah.
It was way later for this too. I had been demoing the songs and fleshing them out, and I kind of once, I mean, I had honestly, I had my daughter Lucky in March of 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic, and um, I had no idea. I had no idea I was gonna end up, that winter making this record, let
Right.
alone engineering and producing it. I knew I was gonna make a record. I had a totally different picture in mind.
Yeah.
Um, and because of the experiences I went through, and also once having Lucky, Lucky's my daughter's name, Lucky Rose, once having her, and then coming upon the anniversary of the miscarriage that happened a year earlier, the grief came back and hit me harder than before. And that coincided with postpartum depression. So I was writing a bunch of stuff that I didn't know was even going to come out. There was a whole other record written that will get made probably soon. That's completely different, and
Oh,
and
wow.
can't be made by myself in my laundry room.
Right.
It has to be like in a studio, and it's rock and roll, like real rock and roll. Not saying that this isn't real, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Like people in a room playing music. But these songs, there was something about the vulnerability of the songs that it kind of occurred to me that maybe I should just try to do this here in my house, because of the guitar layering, the vocal layering, just the call of the production calls that they were, that this what the songs were calling for. essentially lent itself to something that I could maybe do. And which is a whole other side of a whole other level of vulnerability too. Like, let's just, have this content, but also put your stamp on all the sounds, for the first time. That was almost a scarier thing to do, to be honest. Because I
Right.
mean, I didn't know if it was gonna work, man. I really didn't know if it was gonna work, but um, I kind of had some glimpses that it was going to. And then when we took it into my pal's studio to record the drums, and I heard all of the rest of the record come back at me through these, professional like the board and everything, the speakers. I'm like, oh man, it worked. It worked.
It definitely works. It
And
definitely works.
then, he took it to a whole other level with how he mixed it as well, which, I kind of can't believe it worked to say it again. But I shouldn't be so surprised when you make records for as long as I've been making them and just end up trusting your ears. There's not a ton of, like, I love that there's mystery around recording music, and there is so much mystery, but at the same time, it's not
Yeah.
very simple. And if you get those simple things correct, you're on the right track. Like, if the source is good, what you're saying and singing and what's coming out of your amp, if the sounds and the source are good and you're capturing it the right way and the song is good,
That's it. Yeah.
yeah,
I totally agree. And like I said before, if it comes from a real place, it's good. Sometimes it doesn't even matter. Like some of my favorite records or even like favorite movies are like low budget, just no frills, just simple, right? But I like the message that it portrays. But you got both on this. You got the great record with the great sound. And before I forget again, because I forgot a million times, congratulations on being a new mother to Lucky.
oh, thank you.
That's awesome and great, beautiful name.
I mean, it seems so new, but she's almost 19 months, which is
Wow,
crazy.
that's
Yeah,
pretty new.
it's still
I know,
new.
19 months. Yeah, it's pretty new. But so back to the record. I can't believe it was recorded in a laundry room. I really can't. I mean, the whole thing is such a warm feeling. I don't know if maybe that was part post production or that's something you captured, but either way,
It's not post. A
it's
lot
not
of this,
post. Wow.
a lot of this is not post. I mean,
Yeah.
there's certain effects that you're hearing that that are maybe making something seem wider and bigger, but the warmth of the guitar tones, the warmth of the vocals, yeah, that's the source, man. Like,
Yeah.
um I was just thinking when you said the laundry room, like, isn't like bedroom pop a thing? So this is like laundry room rock.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yes.
call it that from now on. Um,
That's a whole new genre. That's great.
yes, laundry room rock started today,
That's right.
with this record. But I think what really was beneficial to this was the fact that this laundry room was so fully carpeted
Mhm.
and really small that it was almost my own little isolation booth.
Sure.
So I could be in there. It was dead. So everything was being, it just kind of all
Just
worked.
worked. Just
Yeah,
worked.
I can't replicate it. I I
Yeah.
I now live in a new house, and I've recorded a couple of little live things in my music room. But I wouldn't be able to do that same thing I did here. Just that little room. I mean, it was little. There was the washer and dryer in there,
Yeah.
and then a little desk and a closet of guitars behind me, and then like a little bit of other space. with a shelf and some amps and things. So, I mean,
Right.
it's kind of interesting. Like it would just be all dark in there. I'd put some little twinkle lights up and just hide away, you know?
Yeah. And see, that's why I do this show. I talk to everybody on a daily basis about music and movies. It's like what I'm into. And I try to open people's minds to other things because there's so much more out there. And it's so hard to find these things because there's just so much, because you don't even have to have a label anymore. You can just make your own music in a laundry room. You know what I mean? You can just put all this stuff. There's like oversaturated amount of content out there, but there's good stuff and you just got to find it. It's like sifting through a giant record store, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but
No, please.
this is something I talk about a lot because it's true. Anybody can make a record, but not everybody can make a record.
Yes.
If you know what I mean. Like,
I know exactly
the
what you
fact that we have these tools that are so accessible are incredible. But it also doesn't mean that you're like, there's so much more content but it doesn't mean that there's so much more good content. So it almost makes it harder, to find the good things because there is so much, because anybody can do it, but not anybody can do it.
Right. Right. I said this the other day, I'm quoting myself here. I had a band on the other day named Dury. They got pretty big on like TikTok. They got really popular and I really dug their music. It was really like refreshing. Actually, it was like kind of this like throwback vintage, like kind of 90s rock. And I really, really liked it. And it's rare to see something like that's so simple, yet so good. And I don't know if you're familiar with TikTok at all. If you're not, please don't be. But there's this whole like island boys trend. I don't know if you've heard of this.
I have not.
Okay. These guys, it's like these two guys, they're in like a hot tub, like singing a song, and it sucks. Okay. And it's not an opinion, it's just sucks. Like it's not a good song. Nobody would agree it's a good song. But they're huge and they're like millionaires and all this stuff. And it's like, why is that so big? It's not good. It's just simply not good. And everything can be subjective. Maybe someone loves it, but it's one of those things where it's universally hated. And that's the things we celebrate. And I don't understand it.
Well, it's interesting because I think here's my little theory on that, which is not my theory. This is what is existing currently. Someone like those guys, I don't know if they had a record label or a deal before this happened, but they probably didn't.
No.
Labels are looking for these kinds of people to give deals to and to give their money to. They're not looking to develop an artist for 5 records and then have a hit.
Right.
And that's unfortunate.
Right. It is.
So we're seeing these people that are more just famous than artists. They're not even entertainers. They're just like famous people.
Yeah.
They're all of a sudden become a thing for this one little dumb thing, and they get a record deal, and then they have 1 billion Spotify hits. Like, it's just, it's a really kind of cruel, fucked up world for
it really is.
Music.
It really is. It's just a flash in the pan too. And it's not just music. Like I've been doing this for a while, and I do other shows too. I have like radio shows, and I make music videos. I mean, you name it, I do. I make graphics. You name it, I really do it. But like, it's so hard for me to get my stuff out there because I don't want to compromise my vision. I want to put out what I want to put out, and hopefully it catches on. But I'm not looking to make a gimmick for it to catch on.
You said it. People need to have a gimmick about them. Yeah.
And that sucks. And I want that to go away. And that's really the goal of everything I do, is to like bring like realness back to everything. So, and listen, if people don't like it, I don't really care, but,
totally,
just, I think it's missing talent. You need talent. When it comes to music, you need talent. You can't just make garbage and become rich and famous. It ends now.
Oh man, it needs to end.
It does. It does. We need a shift in the universe.
I think so I it's gonna happen. It will happen. It's inevitable. The shifts that we've seen, the life and death of like mediums of music in just the last 70 years have been insane, right? Like
yes.
the way that vinyl died, came back.
Yeah.
Like CDs have gone away.
CDs
like
are gone.
CDs killed. Like, you know, streaming has killed radio. All like it's just been this whole roller coaster that I think will come back around once people realize like we can't, this dude who is the billionaire at Spotify, like this makes no sense, everybody.
Right. You know, and I hate even like subscribing to Apple Music. However, I don't have a CD player in my car and I can't hook up a record player to my car. You know what I mean? It's my only option when I'm out is to have this like instant access to music. But I do know that.
But it's not necessarily it's not the listener's fault that it is this way, you know. Somewhere along the line when all this was starting to happen, there was some fuck ups. And you know, we can't blame the people that pay the subscriptions to the music to stream it. Right. They're paying money. It's just the distribution has been so completely wrong and backwards. And why is this one guy, you know, with all of the money while bands have to do GoFundMe's to get through whatever they have to get through, you know, it's a cruel world. And there aren't a lot of ways to make money currently in music. There aren't, unless you're touring 100% of the time. So we're living in a time where a lot of people, like I was just reading this thing. Somebody was saying like if this were if this was like late 70s, like Springsteen would have been, I don't know, driving an Uber or something.
Yeah, right.
It just I don't know.
It's so true.
We're in a different time, man, and we can't. It's really hard to make ends meet just doing this alone.
Yeah, and you know, vinyl is a beacon of hope, I think. I mean, I don't mind spending $30 on a record that I like the artist and I'm going to listen to it all the time and I'm supporting them for the most part, hopefully. And you know, I'll have the album in my phone and I'll buy the record, you know. It's got to be fair. Somewhere along the line, it's got to be fair, and I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's so crazy how when you go to, you know, get an audiobook, let's just say, you gotta drop that $20.
Yeah.
Get that audiobook, you know. You're not finding it somewhere to be streamed. Like, what did they do right?
Right.
The book industry. Can we please learn from them? Or is
that's
it just
so true?
Or is it just that because now, because it is this way, people think that music is free.
Yeah.
Even though it takes so much money to make the music.
Yes. You know? Yeah. And it's become like almost disposable in a way because of that. And I think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm like a physical copy guy. Like I had Laura Jane Grace on the show from Against Me. Nice. And she was like, I bought her book on like audio CD because it takes me forever to read a book. So I just like to listen to the books. And she was like, I didn't even know that existed. Like I showed it to her. She's like, I can't believe that even exists. I'm like, yeah, it does. And like, I'm probably the only one who has it. But there was one more thing I wanted to say about the sound of the record. And it is that certain things stick out, like the guitar, like the lead guitar really sticks out on tracks like Protector. Like it almost talks in a way. That's just another feat in itself in a laundry room. And I just don't want to say I can't believe it.
Oh man, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. And anyone listening to this, please listen to Falcon. It's very, very, very good.
It's a lot you can do with a telly and a Princeton. And
Yeah.
it's not rocket science, you know?
Yeah. It's the simple things though. It really is.
Yeah.
So you're a very inspiring person. Who inspires you?
Oh, great question. Man, there's so many people. Currently, I am very inspired by someone like Patti Smith, St. Vincent.
Yes.
I am regretting so much that I missed the St. Vincent show here in Nashville last month. Patti Smith's show at the Ryman was canceled, which was so sad to me. It was going to be her first time at the Ryman, and man, I needed to see her. Hopefully it'll happen again. So also, you know, all of the Homeland greats like Neil Young, Leonard Cohen, and Joni Mitchell are all in my, you know, all swirling around my head all the time. And also, folks like Daniel Lanois, who is an artist and producer. You have heard some of the records he's produced. He is a massive, massive, massive producer. YouTube, Bob Dylan, Emmylou Harris, the list is crazy.
Small guys.
Yeah, he is, there's just something about what he does, his sonic palette, the way, like, I take a lot of inspiration from how he layers guitars. If you were to go listen to a record of his own, you'd be like, oh, that's what she's trying to do, you know?
Right.
And also people like, there's a lot of artist producers, Jonathan Wilson, Blake Mills. Yeah, just kind of, I mean, even a band like Haim, I love them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just so, I get so just fired up when I see them play, you know, whether it's just a live clip or like a new rock song they put out. It's so good. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Like same with St. Vincent, like women saving rock and roll. Right.
I really love St. Vincent. I have all those on vinyl. They're so good.
Like bringing the guitar solo back.
Yeah.
Bringing just good rock songs. Like I don't know. It's very exciting to me and it's very inspiring. And I kind of take inspiration from all of those different genre people, you know? Yeah.
Have you ever produced another artist's album or do you want to? Is that something you want to do?
I have. I've been doing it for the last 5 years. There's been a couple different artists I've worked with and yeah, I love it. I love it so much. I can't wait to do more. I'm always taking on, you know, as much as I can. People send me demos. I say yes, I say no. If it gets me excited, then I'll probably say yes. If it's in my genre wheelhouse, you know. But I learn so much every time, and I really can't wait to. I'm gonna be that like 70-year-old woman record producer, you know.
Awesome. Listen, if that's the goal, that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Now, like I said before, you can check out brandyzdan.com and there's the Bandcamp link right on the homepage. You can order the new record. There's so many cool ways to buy it. I'm going to go get it after this. And you also offer lessons via Zoom, I noticed. Is that you still doing that? Yeah.
Are they still up there? I can't remember. But
yeah, it's still up there.
I do. I have. And it's a fun little time, just kind of for people that maybe just need a little something to get them going in a different way.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, I know touring is probably out of the question for a bit, but do you have anything planned for next year or?
It is out of the question for a little while. But to be honest, it's out of the question because I don't have a booking agent, and that is not something that I've been self-booked for a long, long time, and I don't have time.
Yeah,
Plus, interesting little kind of tidbit of learning about when you're, I mean, I've been making my living from touring my whole adult life, basically. And um, I was spending so much time keeping myself on the road that I wasn't actually furthering my craft the way that I wanted to be, which
Yes.
is something I've done in these last 2 years of being still. And
Right.
I'm not going back to I'm not going back to the way it was.
No.
So until I have someone on the team doing that job, it's just not going to happen. And that's something that I've kind of learned that needs to occur in my life.
Sure.
But there are some very interesting shows planned for the new year. And I can't announce anything yet, but and there's also going to be another single in the new year too.
Oh wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Man, it never stops with me.
I love that. That's the same way I am. It never stops. I've been working since 7 o'clock this morning and I am shot. But I'm having such a great time that it doesn't even matter. I noticed on one of the pages you toured with Aaron Lee Tashin.
Yeah.
I had him on this show.
Oh, great. He's so fantastic.
What a great guy. He was awesome. And his music's amazing too.
Oh man. He is just this beam of positivity.
Yeah. He really is.
I don't know where he gets it all from. Just like even in his social media posts, it's always coming through, and it's a beautiful thing. He's a beautiful human.
He really is. So I like to wrap this up with some fun questions just to ease any tension if there was none, but you know what I mean? All right. What's your number one pet peeve?
Flip-flops.
Flip-flops. What kind of flip-flops? Like all types or the ones with that weird thing between the toes? I hate those. All of them?
Hate the sound they make.
Okay. Yes, the flip-flop sound is awful. So I'm assuming you don't wear, even in the summertime, you don't wear them yourself.
No way, man.
No. And now you would never even consider dating someone with flip-flops.
It's true. I didn't. I would always say I never would.
Wow. I'm not surprised. I mean, you answered that before I even finished the question. So
they have their place though. I mean, let's just say if you're using a venue shower or something, definitely put those on.
Yes.
But to just go hang out in or something, no thank you.
We don't want to see your feet. We really don't.
It's not even that.
Yeah.
I don't even have anything against sandals. It's just
the sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Bad habit you want to get rid of. If any. I mean,
man, well, everything is so perfectly put in moderation currently.
Right.
So
you're good.
I think I'm okay.
That's good.
Smoking, the drinking, it's all just, I don't have enough time to just kind of go get drunk on a Friday night and be hungover for the weekend. So
yeah. That's a great answer. That's actually the best answer you can have for that question. What's on your record player or in your CD player right now? What are you listening to?
Oh, well, funny enough, so I happen to be a member of the Recording Academy, and when you get sent all sorts of things in the mail for the Grammys, and when the big Billboard magazine came, the Grammy one came in the mail, I guess a little while ago, and in there was this plastic 45 of the Halsey single that was produced by Trent Reznor, and my husband put it on the record player because he was curious. Because I mean, if it's a Trent Reznor production, it's going to be good, right?
Yes.
And it turns out that my little daughter, Lucky, loves the song.
Wow.
So that is what is on our record player because she wanted to hear it earlier and she was just dancing to it. And I love it. I kind of love it too. I'm like, oh yeah, I dig this.
It's awesome. Yeah, Halsey is cool. Yeah. And you're right. Anything Trent Reznor does is gold for for everything, really. I mean, who would have saw him doing movie scores? I would have never seen that in a million years. But when you're watching a movie, you know who's doing the score if he's doing it without even looking up the credit. With that being said, maybe he's going to start doing nursery rhymes or lullaby music, right?
Yes.
If it works for if the sound is pleasant for a baby, that's incredible. The last thing you watched on Netflix, assuming you have Netflix or you watch it.
Oh yeah. Well, my app of choice is the PBS app.
Okay.
Let's just the last thing I watched on the PBS app.
Yeah.
Man, it's so nerdy because I've been sick with COVID. I've been diving deep, and I love British monarchy shows like
Okay.
Nobody's Business.
Yeah.
So I have been just ripping through the Victoria series. Like, I don't know why I love it so much. I have pretty much watched everything on the internet that has to do with British monarchy.
I think we had a British phase for a while, my wife and I, and we watched the entire Downton Abbey.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I need more of this for some reason. Like, this is never something I'd really watch. I'm like into horror movies and stuff like that. So I'm like, I would never watch this, but there was something about it. And I'm assuming you understand what I'm talking about. There's just something about it.
It's a time that does not exist anymore.
Yeah.
And it's these ways are so fascinating that people lived this way, and all like Henry VIII era and all of that stuff. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's insane. Plus, because I'm from Canada, we're part of the Commonwealth, and that,
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, it's such a weird fascination.
It's not. I totally get it. When I think I explained it back in the day when we were in this phase, I was like, it's just kind of calming. Like, it's like soothing. The way they talk. It's not boring. Most people would label it as boring. It's not boring.
Yeah. And it's also like a reminder of, wow, we as women were living with barely any freedoms.
Yes. And
who would have thought?
And unfortunately, it's not much better nowadays, but maybe a little bit. All right, one more. If you can eat only one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
If I could eat only one thing.
Yeah, like one food item.
It's probably pizza.
Yeah, that's usually the answer. And that's my answer too. All right.
No, I can't taste any. I had pizza tonight and I couldn't taste it, and it was the saddest thing in the world.
Oh no, that's right. Yeah. I would that is sad. That is very sad. How is Tennessee pizza?
Well, I'm gluten-free, so it's
Okay.
It's always usually sort of awful, but I don't even remember what real pizza tastes like, so it's okay. It's good to me. And yeah, thoughts and prayers for my smelling to come back to me.
Yes, definitely. And next time you're in New York, for whatever reason, I can give you a couple of good pizza places for sure. I don't know about gluten-free, but I could probably find something.
Well, yeah.
I think everyone has that now if you want it. All right. This is a question I ask everybody. On a scale from 1 to Hell Fucking Yeah, Hell Fucking Yeah being 10, how much did you enjoy being here tonight?
Hell Fucking Yeah, man.
Hell Fucking Yeah. Awesome.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's been a real pleasure for me as well. And it was so awesome to meet you. And I'm an even bigger fan now. I was listening to your music all day. And, sometimes you meet someone and they're cool, but they're just not a vibe. But you're amazing in every aspect. And I really can't wait to see. I want to see your name out there. I want to see people listening to your record. I want to see you at the Grammys because I think you deserve it.
One day I will be, definitely. One day. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you so
definitely.
much, man. Thank you for listening and taking the time. Much
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Brandy, it was amazing to meet you and get back to Lucky and go
Thanks,
enjoy your
man.
night.
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. And
Thank you.
hope
Thank
to do
you.
it again.
I
Okay.
hope to see you again too.
Take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Brandy, take care. Bye-bye.
Hell fucking yeah! It's the Hell Fucking Yeah podcast.